Happy Friday, folks. Chief Meteorologist Tim Pandajis here with you alongside meteorologist Evan Stewart. We're joining you on 13 News Now Plus. We're going to stream a little bit talking about the severe weather threat that's ongoing, not only for our area, but a large chunk of the eastern seaboard from the mid-Atlantic down to the south and east. Now, quickly, let's look at radar here, because in our local area, there's not a whole lot going on. In far southeastern Virginia, northeastern North Carolina, yeah, we've got a little bit of some light rain down to Elizabeth City, but that's really about it. No lightning, no thunder, all non-severe in nature. These are the blow-off tops from thunderstorms down to the south, so just some shower activity out in Elizabeth City. However, where it is much more active is up towards the Richmond area. We just had a tornado warning that expired as it was building towards the city of Petersburg. Thankfully, it was allowed to expire with it kind of losing its overall circulation, at least its signal on radar. There was nothing confirmed on the ground, but we can take you back here and show you what it looked like just about 30 minutes ago. Let's back up radar here. There's Petersburg, you see to the north and west. And then here we go, north of Blackstone. See, we started to get this little signature here, this little couplet, and then this cruised off to the north and east. It was moving around 40 miles an hour. And now at the current time, you can see we've lost that signal. Probably somewhere in here still the cell is rotating, but as it pushes towards Petersburg right now just under a severe thunderstorm warning. And I bet that it's probably under the tag of a tornado still being possible there. In fact, this is actually a little suspicious right here, just north of there. Here's a nice little signature near just north of Petersburg, to the southeast of Chester. That's a very interesting couplet there, just to the northwest of Hopewell. This warning, in fact, there's multiple warnings. That does include parts of the city of Richmond. Let's go to the one that was tornado warned earlier. No, it doesn't have a tag on it for a tornado possible, but it is a run-of-the-mill severe thunderstorm warning with winds up to 60 miles per hour, a possibility of some hail, but it does encompass quite a large area. You can see here from west to east. Now, farther to the north, a separate severe thunderstorm warning. This does include the city of Richmond, south side, over towards the airport, Amelia, Chesterfield, Hanover, and Henrico counties. Again, for max wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour. You can see leading edge of some of that very gusty wind pushing right along 295 and I-95 at this time south of Richmond. So that's going to be the main threat off to the north there. Now, even farther to the north, we need to talk about, and I'm going to bring Evan Stewart in here to talk about this in just a second. Washington, D.C. right now, let me focus this, is completely surrounded by active tornado warnings. To the north, tornado warning heading away from the city, thankfully, headed towards Annapolis. To the south, near Mount Vernon, you can see St. Charles here, another active tornado warning. And to the west, north of Gainesville, over Middleburg, headed towards Leesburg, another tornado warning. All surrounding the district right now with very heavy rain ongoing there. You don't see that too often at all. And Evan, are we seeing any circulation with any of these cells here? Probably, I'd say that radar indicated.
Yeah, we really have. And Tim, I've been watching our sister station, WUSA, Topper Shutt, chief meteorologist up there. He's also streaming, and I've been watching those storms. Also been watching one up around the Tappahannock area as well. That storm also has a tornado warning on it. Give you the latest on that storm right there. That is for Essex and King and Queen County. And that is until 7:30, and there's a possibility of some hail with that storm as well. I want to take a look. Seeing a little bit of a hail core. Of course, that always lags behind grape-size hail with that storm. But I really want to take a look at some of that rotation with that storm. And this is right in between two radars. If I move it a little bit, you'll see the colors change because that taps into the Sterling radar. If I go a little bit farther to the south, that taps into the Weather Service radar. But I think you can see right in here where we have those colors that are, sort of contrasting. They're around Helmet over towards Battery. That's where we're seeing some of that possible rotation with that storm. And we're also seeing some shear with it. Not too terribly much, but certainly looking at the possibility right there of some strong rotation with that storm. Again, moving off towards the east right now. Let's give you the latest on that part of the storm right now. It is moving to the east at, let's see. That storm is moving to the east at 20 miles per hour. So I know we have some folks who are probably watching our streaming who may even catch us occasionally online up around Tappahannock. So tracking that part of the storm to the east at around 20. That will bring it towards Tappahannock at around 7:38, Havelock around 7:44. So we have that storm that we're watching just off towards the north. But then, Tim, as you mentioned, let's head back up towards Washington, D.C. There are three different tornado warnings surrounding the district.
The one on the south side looks to have the best rotation, though.
Yeah, you can almost see sort of that hook that is showing up right there. That is a tornado warning that is for Fairfax and Prince George's County into Maryland. And as we take a look at, again, very clear to me, signature right in there, some rotation with that storm. And let's see, are we picking up, not looking at much in the way of a debris signature or turbulence with that storm. You know, there is a little something that is just off towards the west. That might just be a little bit of an anomaly there in the radar data, because we're not seeing, you know, anything showing up there as far as, you know, on the actual radar. So that might be a little bit lagging. As we take a look at some of that, the shear with that, yes, there is some shear there as well. Nothing too terribly, you know, strong, but let's get some updated, as we got that updated sweep coming around. You know, we are seeing some rotation or some gusty winds with that, but certainly looking at that rotation there that's moving into southern Prince George's County there in southern Maryland, Tim.
Yeah, and you look at the radar imagery here, Evan. I'm going back a couple hours. So we're pulling data now from the Sterling, Virginia radar, as well as from Wakefield. So we're kind of overlapping here. We've got the center of low pressure you can see spinning here well off to the north and west. And it's got this frontal feature here that's dipping down to the south and southwest. And, of course, this is creating some overall spin in the atmosphere. And you can see all of these cells lighting up around it. Numerous tornado warnings, as we mentioned. Washington, D.C. is surrounded by 3 active tornado warnings, all of which have very interesting signatures on radar right now. And another one down just near Tappahannock, another warning there. And south of Richmond, we had a warning just expire here over the last 20 minutes or so. But certainly the activity seems to be focused around the Washington, D.C. area. You can see all 3 supercells here, one to the north. You can even, I want to zoom in on that, because radar here, you can see that absolutely, that has a flying eagle signature right there. You notice how it looks like a flying eagle? It's got the little notch on the bottom here. That's a signature of a supercell. Doesn't really look too great here on radar. That one looks a little bit better. So we've got right here just to the northeast of Bethesda. You're along I-95 here. There's Baltimore. Here's D.C. down to the south, right in between. It is moving away from D.C., but of course, very populated suburbs here, both Baltimore and the north side of D.C. here. That's likely an active tornado. Could be a tornado on the ground right now. It's just radar indicated, I believe. Let's see what they're saying in terms of the, just radar indicated at this time. But Anne Arundel, Howard, Montgomery, Prince George's counties, all under an active tornado warning for a radar-indicated tornado. There's Bethesda. Here's downtown Washington, D.C., right along I-95 in between D.C. and Baltimore at this time. Also, to the south, there's another active tornado warning here. Look at the signature on this one. Piscataway area, there's Mount Vernon just to the southeast of there. Very well-defined signature on radar. And this also, I believe, is radar indicated. Let's see. Yes, still radar indicated. According to the Weather Service, let's see. They said a thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Fort Hunt, moving northeast at 20 miles an hour. So if we do have any viewers up there, let's put a track on that, northeast at 20 miles per hour here. Moving into areas that are obviously very populated at this part of northern Virginia and over into southern Maryland. So you got Friendly over at 719, Clinton at 731, Morningside 741, and if it does hold together, we could see it moving towards Melwood at around 746. So this is the tornado warning south of D.C. right now. There's one to the north, and then let's go and visit the one that's over to the west. This is near Middleburg. You're south of Leesburg, Virginia here. This one doesn't look like it. We're pretty close to the radar site here, so we should be able to get a pretty good feel for if there would be anything on the ground. Certainly some very gusty winds. Radar here picking up on, 40, 45, maybe 50 mile per hour winds there. Nothing really too significant, but definitely seeing some rotation there. And if we have any debris signatures, don't see one there. Let's see if we have any for the other ones. Oh, yeah, this one could certainly. What do you think of that, Evan? That could certainly be. Let's see if we'll put it on top of. Nope, just kidding. That's off to the side there. Not in the same area. So the debris looks to be. That wouldn't be debris, I guess.
Yeah, that's some of the anomalous radar stuff going on there.
Oh, so yeah, that's a very interesting, well-defined signature here. South of D.C., let's go to the north and see if we have any sort of signature of debris up at this other one. It doesn't look to be. No, That's good. That's good that we're not seeing that. So all radar indicated tornadoes here up near D.C. We've got some other cells here, another severe thunderstorm warning and a tornado warning north of Port Royal. You can see this polygon here, tornado warning. There's Colonial Beach just to the northwest there. Plenty of thunder and lightning. Let's turn on velocity here, and we definitely also have a tight signature here just south of Fairview Beach, heading near Dahlgren and Riverside, and eventually towards the Potomac River as well here as we go through the short term. Oh, nope, that would be the Potomac River headed towards that area. And then look at Tappahannock, another very well-defined signature here, just west of Tappahannock near Battery, Champlain, Bethlehem Fork. There's the radar update right over Battery, moving towards the east rather quickly here, probably 30 miles per hour, just about on the eastern side of this warning polygon. We'll likely see a reissuance or an extension of this warning as it works towards Naylor's Beach and may even clip Tappahannock if it holds together, although here's where the signature is. Heads on that trajectory may just pass by just to the north of Tappahannock. So there is a lot of activity out there. All of it, though, is outside of Hampton Roads, which good for us, right? But up towards Richmond, much more active, widespread rain, some severe weather as well there. This is the southern tier of it. As you get closer to that center of low pressure, you're seeing more activity. There's more spin in the atmosphere. You're getting these cells, these supercells to develop and produce possibly tornadoes. Across our area, just avoiding radar activity. And down to the south here, Evan, we've just got some widespread non-severe thunderstorms pushing into inland Dare County, up to the north into Currituck, some light rain showers, some lightning and thunder well south. But everything right now looks to be non-severe, and we're about an hour out from sunset, so the threat could possibly be decreasing in these areas, even though we have an active tornado watch and a severe thunderstorm watch up, both for several more hours.
Yeah, that's right, Tim. And the only really thunderstorm that we have in our area right now is crossing over the York River from James City County over into Gloucester County right now, and hardly any lightning with it. Now, that's been moving, we'll scale you back here the last 30 minutes, and that's generally moving towards the northeast, so that'll move through northern Gloucester County, just past the courthouse, around Almondsville, Sime Pine, might clip areas around Dutton and head towards Glens, and eventually over towards Middlesex County. Then we have another thunderstorm that is here around the Petersburg area and up towards Richmond, so Henrico County. Excuse me. This southern warning is in effect for another 30 minutes. That includes Charles City, Chesterfield, Dinwiddie, and Prince George County in Virginia, and that is some very heavy rain that is approaching Interstate 95 and Petersburg. And as that holds together, that too will cross over and approach areas of James City County and Charles City County here coming up in the next half hour or so. So it's sort of following in line behind that other storm over the York River. So we have that one thunderstorm that we'll be watching here as it works its way eastward, approaching that eastern edge of the warning at around 7:45. So we might see here in another half hour or so a warning issued if that storm holds together for Charles City County, New Kent County, over into James City County, maybe a little bit of Williamsburg. So that's really the only storm that is having any kind of imminent threat to any part of Hampton Roads as we head down to North Carolina. Tim, as you mentioned, there are a few thunderstorms as you work your way down towards the Pamlico Sound, down towards Hyde County, Lake Mattamuskeet, over towards the Alligator River, up into areas of Terrell County, over towards Alligator and Dare County. So that storm, it's not severe as we head a little bit farther south down towards Jacksonville and Morehead City, North Carolina, Swansboro. But again, things pretty quiet here across much of Hampton Roads right now, just with that one storm that is up towards Petersburg that is posing a little bit of a threat.
Yeah, and I think that northern portion of this system is kind of hogging all the storm energy right now. We're seeing it kind of get sucked away from Hampton Roads, which we're fine with, even though we're under an active tornado watch here for 4.5 more hours until midnight tonight. I have been watching them scale it back, though, and expire or cancel the watch farther off to the west. We'll likely see this continue, and especially if we get past sunset this evening and there's no activity through Southside, we can probably expect for that to be canceled well before we make it to the expiration time of midnight. Now, to the south, an active severe thunderstorm watch is up for all of northeastern North Carolina cities and counties until 11 o'clock. This as well, we can watch probably this to be expired or canceled before it is allowed to make it to the 11 o'clock expiration time. I want to show you here what what models are doing with this, because this is the HRRR, the High Resolution Rapid Refresh model. And for this system, it's been doing better than our other short-range model, the Graph. This has a better handle mostly on what's going on initially. It's diagnosing the atmosphere, taking what's on radar and kind of initializing better, although what's going on here to the south we don't currently have on radar. Pretty good on what's going on up in Richmond, a little bit off in terms of location. And then we do have some showers down to the south. So let's just play this out and see what it looks like as we go through the rest of our evening. Takes that northern piece of energy, slides it east-northeast, maybe clipping James City County up into Gloucester and Matthews. More of an issue it looks to be for Tappahannock, and then hitting the bay and maybe a problem for northern Accomack County well after sunset. But at that point, it'll be weakening. We're losing the daytime heating. To the south, though, here we are at 11 o'clock. Still doesn't look to be much going on at south side and the southern portion of the peninsulas. Good news. Down to the south, more of the same, too. Over the last couple runs of this model, this cluster of thunderstorms that you see here down in Adair County, Nags Head area, south of there, has been trending farther to the south and looks to be just kind of a cluster of storms that may be just non-severe, so just some heavy rain there. But by 11 o'clock, things are really winding down across the area. So those are some good trends to be looking for here as we're watching. I mean, we've got active tornado watches and severe thunderstorm watches up for the area. As Evan was mentioning, anything to focus on in our area is going to be found way to the north and west on the far northwestern fringes of the 13 News Now viewing area. We've got some thunderstorms, non-severe right now, in Gloucester, over to Matthews, and we've got an active severe thunderstorm warning here for this cell that now is pretty much right over Colonial Heights in Petersburg. This did have a tornado warning on it earlier when it was farther to the southwest. Now it is building to the east at around 40 miles an hour. So again, as Evan was mentioning, if it makes it outside of this warning polygon, still maintain some of its severe characteristics, we could see an extension maybe clipping northwestern portions of James City County into Gloucester as well. But that looks to be it right now. What about here to the south and west of this main line? All of these cells right now are non-severe. You don't see any active warning polygons. McKinney area over to Blackstone, Alberta, down along I-85 headed towards South Hill. Just some heavy downpours, maybe some rumbles of thunder. As these progress to the east, they're still going to be able to encounter and take advantage of some modest energy that's still available as we approach sunset this evening. So we could see these strengthen a little bit. But again, Evan, as I mentioned, I think most of the energy is being starved out of these cells and taken off to the north, where we still have a ton of activity in northern Virginia up to the nation's capital, with still 4 ongoing tornado warnings there.
Yeah, and actually I counted 6 of them once you get over into southern Maryland.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Approaching Hagerstown, we have 3 here in northern Virginia as well. So we have quite a few of those tornado warnings. And I agree, Tim. I think that there's so much energy being robbed from the storms on the south, from all of these storms up around Washington, D.C. Again, the whole area surrounding Washington, D.C., it looks like maybe even another new warning there.
Yeah, 4 now.
Yeah, an updated warning there for the storm that is just southwest of Baltimore and east of Rockville, Maryland. So that warning, that's an update there. So yeah, these storms up here towards the north, just very, very active with those multiple warnings. Again, I agree, Tim. I think that those storms and, you know, closer to that main center of low pressure is really robbing the southern storms here. You can sort of see, we've mentioned it before. This graphic is probably, or the location of the fronts is a little bit behind, but we often talk about this. You may have heard us talk about the triple point. That's where we have the cold front, this warm front, although it's drawn on here as a stationary front, and the occluded front, that a lot of times right along that warm front and around the triple point, you can get a lot of rotation and a lot of spin up, and it looks like that's more what's going on with that part of this storm, just again, really robbing it, you know, the southern end of much of the energy. But you know, we've got this one warning that is up here that is just here into extreme eastern Maryland, just south of Berkeley Springs, right there around Oakland and Jones Spring, eventually approaching Williamsport. So that's there in extreme eastern Maryland. We've got the warnings that are just east of D.C. right now, just south of Baltimore, tornado warnings just to the west, approaching Reston and the actual radar site there in Sterling. But once we get back down, you know, here into Hampton Roads and And we've got some heavier rain right now. We mentioned it earlier through Gloucester County, Matthews County. That's approaching Gwin Island and up towards Middlesex County. That's about it in our neck of the woods. A couple of some heavier downpours down through eastern North Carolina, approaching the Alligator River. But we've talked about this before. We were seeing this in the models, what we call the old mid-Atlantic split. And it looks like, some of the energy is passing by to the north, some of it is passing by towards the south. And we've seen that quite often, enough that we have a nickname for it, that is sort of splitting the area. And north of us is getting some severe weather, and we're getting not severe weather, but some pretty big thunderstorms down towards the coast of North Carolina. And there are some actual severe thunderstorm warnings down towards Bald Head Island, just south of Wilmington.
Yeah, and you and I were talking about this earlier, Evan, that our graph model, our in-house high-resolution, shorter range, picked up on this split yesterday in their runs, and then it since leaned away from it. But that model of the graph seems to have a better handle on things in the short to medium range rather than right on top of the event happening, which is interesting to watch. Now, I want to go back up into Northern Virginia because this setup here really reminds me. So my first market was in Hagerstown, Maryland. In April of 2011, we had an outbreak of tornado warnings that was similar to this. I mean, there were probably a dozen. There's 7 here currently, from Tappahannock all the way north up to Hagerstown, 7 active tornado warnings. But very similar. We had an amplifying area of low pressure that was going negatively tilted, and we had an orientation from south to north of a line of tornado-warned cells here. So it looks very similar to that, and I think that would be the last time that I saw so many warnings near the nation's capital all at one time. Certainly since then, it's been almost 15 years, we've seen opportunities where there's been tornado warnings around, but 3 of them surrounding Washington, D.C. at the same time, very, very unusual there, as the focus of the severe weather tonight is now well to our north, towards D.C., eventually pivoting over towards Baltimore as well here in the next hour, up towards Hagerstown, down to Fredericksburg. We've got some activity there, too, near Tappahannock. 2 other tornado warnings are still up for areas near Tappahannock. You can kind of see it. It's kind of hidden by all the lightning strikes there just north of Tappahannock. And then we got Spotsylvania County, Fredericksburg area, another tornado warning here about to hit the Potomac and moving towards southern portions of Maryland there, too. These are all ongoing, but I was checking on these, Evan, and these are all radar-indicated tornadoes. Nothing has been confirmed to have been touched down on the ground, so no reports of any damage. In fact, let's actually get a check on that, see if we have any active storm reports. No, they're all still well off to the west here, all wind reports, though, it looks like, as you get to the west of I-81. But we'll probably see these begin to trickle on in here over the next couple of hours as folks get out there and assess after this line slowly moves on through. And, it is slowly moving on through. Last 2 hours here of radar data shows it hasn't really moved that far, hanging up pretty much right along and east of I-95, up towards 295 to 81, and then over towards Baltimore, 95 and north of there. So lots more activity here for the next couple of hours before this whole thing swings onto the north and east. I mean, it's good news for us, right? We're missing out on this severe weather this time. It's all just to our north and west here, but man, they're in for a rough night in Baltimore and D.C.
Yeah, I've been checking around there, that 1 tornado warning very close to Reagan National and Andrews Air Force Base. And I've been looking at and seeing, the storm reports from up around Washington, D.C. And there's some reports of some hail with that 1 storm just north of there that's approaching Baltimore and just south of Ellicott City, which Ellicott City has been, in history, has had some tremendous flooding up in that area, but not getting too many storm reports from D.C. And when I put in the storm reports plot, you can see nothing showing up on the map. Now, that part of that could be the Weather Service office there is just so slammed with all those warnings. They haven't had time to put a lot of that information in. And some of the storms that were approaching Petersburg, we'll put that there. You can see that storm there. There have been some reports of some trees down as you get into areas around Amelia Courthouse, Dennisville Road. So these storms do have a history of producing some gusty winds, and we do have that warning here for another about 20 minutes. That does include areas of Petersburg, although the storm has pretty much moved east of Petersburg. So that takes us now into Prince George County, Dinwiddie County, Chesterfield County, Charles City County. If that storm holds together, we could potentially see one Charles City County, New Kent County, James City County, a warning issued there. But that southern end of the line that's approaching Templeton and 95. Not much, certainly with that. And then, you get a little bit farther south, nothing along 95 until you get, down into coastal Carolina. And even that, area of rain looks to be not quite as heavy as what we were seeing a little bit earlier. Some lightning with the storm down towards Hyde County moving into the Pamlico Sound. But again, not much here in Virginia for now. And again, that is good news. We did have that weather impact alert because we've been under that level 2 risk for severe weather. And I want to, just kind of go back and take a look at that. The Storm Prediction Center, they had us in that level 2 risk, but the tornado risk, you can see, was really in that area where we're seeing a lot of those, warnings, especially even up into areas of D.C. and Baltimore. So while it was only a level 2 risk, it was an elevated tornado risk, and that's certainly playing out. And the concern was that, we still have that level, that 5% risk even down into Richmond and areas around Raleigh. But I think, again, those northern storms have been really robbing these southern storms of all of that energy. As far as temperatures go right now, we're still in the 70s. Dew points are still pretty high in the mid 60s, so it is still very humid out there. So the atmosphere is primed. But again, how much energy is going to translate down into coastal Virginia, North Carolina, with what's going on in northern Virginia?
Yeah, and a couple things working against any more severe weather developing. We're 45 minutes out from sunset, so we're going to lose the daytime heating aspect of it. And what's been really triggering this unsettled weather, this severe weather, is our cold front that, as we've been talking about, Evan and I, back and forth, seems to have been focusing most of the energy closer to the center of low pressure that's far to the north. So we are just missing out on this. I mean, here's the one closest to us. It's a severe thunderstorm warning that they just scaled back to no longer include the city of Petersburg. Still does include Colonial Heights and Hopewell, though, until 7:45. But this cell, too, it's moving into area. It doesn't seem to be hanging on to its intensity. It's weakening a bit, maybe capable of some strong winds. But this cell was possibly producing a tornado. It had a warning on it as it was southwest of Petersburg just 35 minutes ago or so. So it's really weakened dramatically, and we'll likely see this get allowed to expire at 7:45, and probably not even a reissuance of it, as it may extend into James City County. So we'll watch it, but that's the one that's closest to us right now. We've got another couple non-severe cells that are in northern Gloucester and northern Matthews, and you see this over the last 30 minutes. And these are generally lifting out of that area, so no longer going to be a threat. Even if they do intensify a bit as they move towards Christchurch, it'll be out of our viewing area and out of Gloucester and Matthews here, probably within the next 15 to 20 minutes. Elsewhere, we've been talking about all the activity to the north. Sure, we've got 7 active tornado warnings, but what about to the south? This entire area, all of coastal North Carolina, is under a severe thunderstorm watch. And you can see, for the most part, with the exception of one lone warning south of Wilmington, we're void of a lot of severe weather here. So really, again, I think the energy is being robbed by all the storms off to the north. It's sucking up all that available atmospheric energy and using it up and not allowing these storms to really intensify or maintain intensity for a prolonged period of time to cause any issues. But certainly non-severe storms, lots of lightning and thunder here down to Jacksonville, getting towards North Topsail Beach, down to Wilmington, just to the south of here, Morehead City. Heavy rain, but everything right now is non-severe. And in our local area, Hampton Roads, northeastern North Carolina, it's turning out to be a pretty quiet evening across Southside. And, we deserve it because it's been a very unsettled week with a lot of rain. We don't need any more of this rain, so we'll maybe just dodge a complete bullet here with these storms passing by to our north and south, as we are now about 45 minutes from sunset this evening, Evan.
Yeah, and even the tornado warning that was up around Tappahannock, that storm has moved out of the area, and they reissued a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag on it. So that includes Richmond and Westmoreland counties getting up into our northern neck. But again, just the idea that it now has a tornado possible tag with the thunderstorm warning, not an actual tornado warning, shows some signs that even that northern storm is starting to weaken. Up around Dahlgren, we have that other tornado warning that's crossing over the Potomac. And then it looks like they've issued another tornado warning there for that storm that is just around Andrews Air Force Base. Let's take a look. Yeah, you can certainly see right in there where those colors are, you got the red and the yellow there next to the green showing some signs of rotation, maybe even a little bit of a debris signature as we, kind of line things up a little bit. You can see right in, I'll put my little pointer on there. You can see right in here, we've got some turbulence. Switch it up, a little bit of something going on there.
Yeah, it could be.
Maybe a little bit of a debris signature. That is right in that same area. There's an updated radar sweep pushing off towards the east, so there could be a little bit of something on the ground. Let's see. Right now, they're still saying radar indicated, not radar confirmed, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see maybe a little bit of an upgrade on that. Taking a look at the possibility of some hail, not too impressive with this storm here. Then as we get up towards the other one that is just approaching Baltimore, let's see, maybe some broad circulation, and then right in here, excuse me, we could see a little bit of some rotation with that storm. But, what's happening up in D.C. means not much is happening here across Hampton Roads.
Yeah, and as we've been talking about everything that's going on off to the north, Evan, with not much activity happening here in Hampton Roads, we'll wind down our stream here over the next couple of minutes and just kind of leave you with a random overall summary of the severe weather that's focused off to the north. Surrounding D.C., we have four ongoing tornado warnings here, none of which, thankfully, are headed towards D.C. Two are heading away from it. One is going to be heading to the northwest of it. But we do have this one here that's near Andrews Air Force Base that Evan was just looking into near Savage in Columbia that could make its way into Baltimore here if it holds together. I mean, it's got a pretty interesting signature here and a couplet, and it is tracking pretty much right along I-95 headed towards Baltimore. So in the next hour or so, it's going to be interesting as that heads in that direction there if it holds together. Again, this isn't a confirmed tornado on the ground. We've been checking these when they reissue the alerts from the Weather Service to see if they change it, because they'll indicate, how they're seeing it. What's the evidence of there being a tornadic storm here? And you can see it says radar indicated off over to here. So if this was to change to radar confirmed or confirmed tornado, not only would we see that there, but we'd also see the hue around this warning change to a different color to kind of signal to us that there's been a change and there's a tornado on the ground or possibly something else there. But right now, radar indicated just to the south west of Baltimore. Again, I'm going to end things here down to the south, closer to home, where we've got one remaining severe thunderstorm warning that's just outside, really impacting just south or just to the east, northeast of Petersburg, a weakening cell here that had the possibility of producing a tornado earlier. It has since dissipated, but this is up for another 13 minutes until 7:45, just south of 64 here. What's left of it, the residual storm energy, will probably impact western James City County and maybe eventually crossing the York over to Gloucester and Matthews here. But at that point, probably below severe criteria. You can see the rest of the area, Evan, as we wrap things up here. Nice and quiet. This is great news. Still an active tornado watch until midnight for Virginia. Severe thunderstorm watch until 11 o'clock for northeastern North Carolina. I'd bet that we see both of those canceled long before we get to those times.
Yeah, we should be out of the woods here in the next few hours. And then another chance for some thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon and evening. Doesn't look like the severe potential is going to be there nearly as high as it was today. Could be some gusty winds. But by Sunday, this whole pattern finally starts to break. And next week, it's going to be hot, sunny, but hot. Temperatures up near 90 degrees.
Yep. Well, thanks, everybody, for joining us here on 13 News Now Plus. We'll be streaming if anything changes later on this evening. But for now, things to be quieting down. They've remained quiet for our area. We'll monitor what's off to the north and to the south. But for now, things are quiet. So enjoy the rest of your Friday evening and have a great weekend.